2025 WNBA Championship contenders. To me, the list ends at 5. There's 5 true contenders to me this year. As I mentioned earlier, to some extent, you have the Liberty, you have the Aces, you have the Lynx, you have the Fever, and you have the Mercury. Those are the only, for me, those are the only teams right now that I'm like, okay, I could see them winning a championship. The Mercury, I still think, like, all right, does Diana Taurasi come back? Are they going to do something else? Everyone else is just not quite there yet. Yeah. And we don't know what other dominoes are going to fall for someone else to be a sneaky contender. Because frankly, the Lynx were a surprise for a lot of people last year to get to the finals and nearly win the championship. Right. And there were people saying, hey, are they even going to make the playoffs this year? And they surprised a lot of people. I don't know if there's a Lynx yet. We'll have to see closer to training camp. But I mean, do you disagree with my list of contenders?
No, I have no issues with your list of contenders. To me, the Lynx, Liberty, and Aces are still slightly above the other two, only because, as I keep mentioning, the question marks, the continuity, the chemistry, and it took the Liberty a couple of tries with their core. Minnesota, interestingly, they re-signed Natisha Heidemann, which I think is important to them. She was their leading bench scorer, but they bring back nearly 90% of their total minutes from last year. And I think that's important. I think they had a great free agency last year. Yeah. They're sticking together. They're year 2. By the way, I think they're the most motivated. I think they're pissed about how the finals ended still. 1,000%. I think Nafisa Collier is a beast. I think she is she's absolutely crushing it. So I think the Lynx are really scary.
You get to last year, you're Kelsey Mitchell, and it's like, oh, finally, there's some light here. It's not even just Caitlin Clark; it's also Aaliyah Boston, and just the organization seemingly getting it together. But I mean, you kind of fell into Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, so that will do that. And obviously, I mean, she has to enjoy playing with Caitlin Clark because she wouldn't have signed back with the team, and that makes it the backcourt dynamic. And then you have Sophie Cunningham, who's a career 37% 3-point shooter. You want shooters around Caitlin Clark, around Kelsey Mitchell. And I mean, Aaliyah Boston, DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard. That's a damn good offseason from Indiana. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think that the Fever still want to play fast. And that
Caitlin wants to play fast.
Yeah. And that sort of feeds into Kelsey being able. Kelsey is quick as hell. She is. Very few people can beat her down the floor. So I think, don't forget, a big part of the turning point last year for the Fever was when Caitlin and her teammates, and especially Kelsey Mitchell, got used to each other enough where Kelsey would bolt down the floor. Caitlin would be able to throw the really long, cross-court passes and transitions. So I still think you're going to want to see a lot of that, because I think that pace, and Sue Bird has talked about this, that pace puts the Fever at such an advantage. It's so hard to keep up. Liberty, interestingly, we didn't talk about, so Courtney Vandersloot goes to the Sky, but the Liberty should be getting Maureen Johannes back. So I think that helps them with that depth in the guard spot. I think it's huge that they lose Kayla Thornton. I really think that's,
she went in the expansion draft for people.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really hard to replace her defense, her understanding of the system. I mean, I said this when I covered the W finals. They don't win that championship without her, in my opinion, just because of what she gave them, especially in that game 5 specifically. So I think that hurts them a little bit, but I still think they're going to be fine.
Let me ask you about this real quick, actually. Do you think Phoebus takes a step up, and what does that look like this year? After, I mean,
dude, I think
second in Rookie of the Year voting last year for the league.
Phoebus was an absolute. She was a game changer last year.
She was a lot better than I thought she was going to be.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, if you recall, so beginning of actually pretty much the whole season, she was coming off the bench. It wasn't until Sandy Brondello made what Cheryl Reeve referred to as one of the best playoff personnel moves ever, which was inserting her into the starting lineup instead of Sloot. And Phoebus is I will rave about Phoebus forever. Like she is big. She can guard every position. She can shoot the three.
43% last year.
Just love her. So yeah, I do think she's going to be even more. I hope she takes on a bigger role. I really do.
But that's kind of where I'm going. It's like, all right, if we're going to fill the Kayla Thornton void of minutes, so to speak. And I do wonder, okay, so we thought, is Benijah Laney Hamilton going to be on the roster? Well, right now she is on the roster for this season. That was sort of a question.
And by the way, and I think B is still a very important piece too. I mean, let's not
perimeter
forget
defense. They need her for perimeter defense.
Like, she wasn't fully healthy late last year, and so maybe her defense wasn't 100% where it would normally be. She won them a finals game. I know we're probably gonna hop here momentarily, so I just wanted to comment that.
Hop.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop.
Before we hop, we have our list of contenders. I would agree with you that I would put the Liberty and the Aces and the Lynx
maybe a step ahead, just because of the
step ahead of the Fever. But
we don't know about the fit yet. That's all.
But a lot of buts. But Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell,
Fever are exciting.
Natasha Howard.
Yeah.
You mentioned Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, Aaliyah Boston. New coach.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be interesting. This is gonna be but they're also gonna have, I think, much higher expectations.
I'm gonna ask.
This is not gonna be like.
I'm gonna ask you the question.
What?
Can Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever win the WNBA title in 2025? Can they do it? I gotta add a D at the end of "and." I messed that up.
Yeah. I mean, of course they can do it. I'm just not ready to say they will do it.
If you have 100 percentage points, what hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna ask it a different way. Hold on. If you have
put me on the spot.
This happens an hour in. If you have 100 percentage points, how much percentage points are you giving for the Liberty to win the title, for the Aces, for the Lynx, for the Fever, for the Mercury?
Yeah, but Bryan, like, this is what
I'm gonna get an answer.
Go to the sports book and do the math with the odds, and you'll get that answer. I'm not really like a math person.
I'm asking Maria Marino. Not Kings.
I guess my favorite. I know you said the currently the favorite to win is New York, right? Then Vegas, then Mini.
New York 220. I'll do it again. New York 220. Aces 280. Lynx 370. I think you want to flip that.
I kind of want to flip that. I like the Lynx
Fever 450
personally better than the Aces, and maybe even better than the Libs. Maybe even better than the Libs, just because of. Look, again, they took them to 5 games. They
mentioned Courtney Williams, who busted their ass in the playoffs also.
Largely the same rosters on both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skeptical. Again, it's the skepticism is not because of doubt about any player or situation. It's more just the uncertainty of, like, I just don't know yet how this is going to come into play. And, like, I'm done with betting. I'm not betting championship futures until, like, at least the midway point of the season, because there are better ways to find value with, like, betting. And so from a prediction standpoint, don't get me wrong, like, I love the Fever. I watched most games, but I watched, like, every Fever game last year. I'm pumped to see what they look like, how they come together. They could have the right mix of stars, young stars, star vets, great coach. Now they're going to, regardless of what happens, remember the first round is going to have a home and home. So nobody that's making the first round isn't going to get a home game. So, like, I think the Fever are definitely poised to, like, make some noise. I'm just not 100% ready to be like, all right, they're going to be, top 3 championship contender just yet.
Element Gold, we both have worked in gambling, we know. We know that.
What did he say?
No, just saying the betting odds are not favorites. In this case, they are, because I mean, I don't know how many future bets that they're getting on this championship, but the Liberty are the favorites to repeat.
Yeah,
they are as of today. Yeah. The Fever plus 450, which I mean, that's going to get extra just because of Caitlin Clark. I think to me, it comes down to this. If I may do a cross-racial comparison, but like I was saying this about Victor Wembanyama before the season started. Like, if he is actually that good, how good can the Spurs sort of be? And the NBA is different because it's 30 teams versus 13 or whatever the case may be. But I have the same question about Caitlin Clark. Like, if she is this good, and there's going to be more context this year because this is going to be Caitlin Clark, who is not going to be playing in the Olympics, who is not going to be coming off a college basketball season and going right into the WNBA season.
She's going to be rested. She is in the lab. She is working on that.
She's not showing up to All-Star weekend.
She's dialed. No, I think she's going to be laser focused on, and she's not going to have the same challenges in terms of like the strength of schedule was insane last year. Like, she was like, to your point, like getting drafted a week after being at the Final Four. Like, I think we're going to see,
it's scary.
All the stars are aligning for Caitlin to continue ascending her level.
And it's not just about her, because it's like you have an anchor. You have Aaliyah Boston and you have Natasha Howard, who are going to defend.
As long as the vets buy into what Stephanie White is doing, they buy into the way that Kelsey Mitchell did with Caitlin last year, as long as Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner and Sophie Cunningham are all kind of on the same page, I do think it's a dangerous team.
If you're the Liberty, if you're the Liberty, you should trade for Natasha Cloud. I don't care. But if you're the Liberty and you get the Fever in round 2 of the playoffs,
it's tough.
Like, you're worried. Like, you're worried also because they
had a tough second round with Vegas.
You could lock it. You're gonna have to guard Caitlin Clark differently this year because other than Kelsey Mitchell, you also have DeWanna Bonner, who can create with the ball. Like, Natasha Howard could fill it up too if necessary.
Yeah, and also Caitlin, I think, has gotten way better at handling double teams, handling blitzes.
And I still need to know what's going on with the Aces. I agree with you. To me, I don't like the Aces more than I like the Lynx right now.
That's how I feel.
The Jewel Lloyd piece, I need to see. Now, let's give credit because Asia Wilson is that good, and that could open up like Jewel Lloyd's open threes, for example. Like, the way she'll be able to feed off Chelsea Gray, who's an amazing passer, an amazing floor general, like top 1% of real point guards on the planet. And the Jackie Young piece, like, we know what she can do offensively. I don't love their depth. I like the Lynx depth more, actually. Bringing back Courtney Williams, who really stepped up in the playoffs last year, is not a small thing. Like, I do have more questions about the Aces, to the point where I'm looking at, like, all right, if we get Fever Aces at any point in the playoffs, like, what does that look like? Like, and to me, I'm not picking the Fever to win the championship this year, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got to the finals.
Listen, it's only February, Brian. Okay, like we're just, you and I at this point, we're reacting.
I'm hosting a show.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, we got time. We got time to, you're like, what percentage could, of chance do you give this person to win, this team to win a championship? Like,
y'all should see the conversations we have in real life. Y'all should see the conversations we have in real life about this. If you thought this was fascinating.
Okay, meanwhile, we're pushing an hour and 15. So I think
we got to wrap. Thank y'all for watching. If you do watch this later, we appreciate you.